The moment the red and blue lights painted my quiet cul-de-sac, I knew this wasn't about a parking violation. It was about power. And Mrs. Karen Whitmore, HOA president, neighborhood tyrant, and self-appointed queen of Willow Creek Estates, was about to learn that some driveways come with a gavel. I'd just pulled my black sedan into the spot I'd owned for 12 years, the one directly in front of my colonial brick home, when the cruiser screeched up. Officer Ramirez stepped out, hand on his holster, eyes scanning like I was a fugitive. Behind him stood Karen, arms crossed so tight her acrylic nails dug crescents into her forearms, lips curled in that smug little smirk she reserved for rule breakers. "License and registration," Ramirez barked. I handed them over without a word. He glanced at the address, then at the house, then at Karen. Her smile faltered. "This is your property, Judge Harlan." Karen's face drained of color faster than a vampire at sunrise. "There must be some mistake." "No mistake," I said, stepping out of the car. "But there is a hearing tomorrow. Domestic disputes, courtroom 3B 9 a.m. sharp." I looked straight at her. "Don't be late." She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again, like a goldfish drowning in its own entitlement. The officer handed back my documents, tipped his hat, and left. Karen stood frozen on my lawn as I walked inside, the slam of my front door echoing like a verdict. That was Friday night. By Monday morning, the entire neighborhood knew. And Karen, she had no idea the storm she'd summoned. Let me take you back to the beginning, because this didn't start with a parking space. It started 3 years ago, when Karen Whitmore decided my late wife's rose garden violated HOA aesthetic compliance. Sarah had planted those roses the year we moved in, hybrid teas in blush pink, deep crimson, and buttery yellow. She tended them like children, pruning, fertilizing, whispering to them when she thought no one was watching. After the cancer took her, I kept them alive. Not for beauty, for memory. Karen sent the first violation notice 6 weeks after the funeral. Unapproved vegetation. Remove within 7 days or face $500 daily fines. I ignored it. She sent another. Then a third. Then she showed up at my door with a clipboard and a tape measure, demanding I dig them up while she watched. I told her to get off my property. She called the police. They left when I showed them the deed. That should have been the end. But Karen doesn't lose. She escalates. Over the next 2 years, she weaponized every rule in the HOA handbook. My garbage cans were visible from the street. They were behind a lattice screen. My holiday lights stayed up until January 3rd, seasonal decorations limited to 45 days. My dog, Max, a 12-year-old golden retriever with arthritis, barked once at 7:03 a.m. on a Saturday. $250 fine. I paid nothing. I'm a judge. I know the law, and Willow Creek's HOA bylaws. They're enforceable only through civil court. Karen needed a judge's signature to collect. Guess who sits on the bench every Tuesday and Thursday? She never connected the dots. To her, I was just Mr. Harlan, the grumpy widower in 42B who wouldn't bow. She didn't know I'd been appointed to the county bench 6 months after Sarah died. Didn't know I'd presided over 312 HOA cases in the last year alone. Didn't know I'd thrown out 309 of them for frivolous enforcement. But she was about to. The parking incident was her masterpiece. I'd been at the courthouse until 8 p.m. wrapping a custody battle, ugly one, involving a kid with leukemia and parents who cared more about spite than chemo. I was exhausted, still in my robe when I got the call about Max. The dog sitter said he'd stopped eating. I sped home, parked crooked across my own driveway, and ran inside. That's when Karen pounced. She'd been waiting. I later learned she'd installed a Ring camera angled at my house after the Rose Garden standoff. She saw me park, saw the robe, saw the panic, and called 911. Not the non-emergency line. 911, suspicious vehicle, possible home invasion, the driver's in a costume, like a judge or something. Send units now. Ramirez told me this later, over coffee, laughing so hard he snorted. But that night, he took it seriously. Karen thought she'd finally won. A criminal trespass, a public scene, maybe even an arrest. She'd parade it at the next HOA meeting. See, even judges aren't above the law. Except I am the law. And Monday morning, she had a date with Courtroom 3B. The courthouse buzzed. Word spreads fast in a small county. Clerks whispered. Bailiffs grinned. Even the janitor, Mr. Lopez, gave me a thumbs up in the hallway. Karen arrived at 8:57 a.m., clutching a manila folder like a shield. She wore a navy blazer 2 sizes too tight, hair teased into a helmet, lipstick the color of fresh blood. She didn't recognize me at first, out of context, in my robe, behind the bench. All rise. She stood, confused, scanning the gallery. Then her eyes locked on me. The folder slipped from her fingers, papers fluttering like surrender flags. Case 24CV1789, Whitmore vs. Harlan, the clerk announced. Petition to enforce HOA fines totaling $14,300. I banged the gavel. Be seated. Karen's knees buckled. She sat hard. I opened the file. Inside, 38 violation notices. Photos of my roses. A blurry shot of Max mid-bark. And, my favorite, a 42-page, cease and desist, letter threatening to lien my home over a wind chime Sarah bought in Cape Cod. I looked up. Ms. Whitmore, you're representing yourself. She nodded. Mute. Good. Let's begin. For the next hour, I dismantled her case like a surgeon with a scalpel. The roses, planted 2004, grandfathered under the HOA's 2010 amendment. The garbage cans, behind a decorative screen, per section 4.2. The holiday lights, removed January 2nd, photo timestamped. Max's bark, one instance, not a pattern of nuisance. With each ruling, Karen shrank. Her blazer seemed to swallow her. Then came the parking incident. I called Officer Ramirez to the stand. He testified under oath. No crime, no citation, no probable cause. Karen had wasted police resources. I turned to her. Anything to add? She stood, voice trembling. Your Honor, I didn't know it was you. The gallery gasped. A rookie mistake. I leaned forward. That's the problem, Ms. Whitmore. You don't need to know who it is. The law applies equally, or it's supposed to. I ruled. All fines dismissed. HOA ordered to pay my court costs. And, here's the kicker, Karen personally liable for $5,000 in sanctions for bad faith enforcement. She sobbed. Actual tears. The bailiff handed her tissues. But I wasn't done. One more thing, I said. Effective immediately, you are removed as HOA president. A special election will be held next month. Until then, Mr. Lopez, the janitor, will serve as interim chair. He's the only one here who hasn't weaponized a tape measure. The gallery exploded. Lopez, sweeping in the back, dropped his broom. Karen fled the courtroom, heels clacking like gunshots. Epilogue. 3 months later, the roses bloomed brighter than ever. Karen moved, sold her McMansion to a lovely young couple with twins. The new HOA, run by Lopez, who instituted Forgiveness Fridays, any minor violation forgiven with a plate of homemade empanadas. I still park in my driveway. No one calls 911. And every spring, when the roses open, I swear I hear Sarah laughing.